Hey everyone, this is Reina, and you're listening to or watching Lucid Reality. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about a dream I had back in May. I was spending the night with my fiance, and I had woke up screaming. He freaked out, and I guess I scared the baby too, so it was kind of intense. And the panic and the fear that I had was just overwhelming. But anyways, this was before I started up the podcast. I was going through my daily readings. On April 28th, I had read um, Mark 11:23 through 24 and James 1:19. What I got out of it was have faith and believe with all your heart and forgive those who you have grudges on and be quick to listen and slow to anger. And then the day of my daughter's spring concert, I had read Jeremiah 31:3, and then Psalms 111:9, 2 Corinthians 5:19 through 21, Ephesians 6:11, 2 Thessalonians 3:3, Romans 3:21 through 24, and Colossians 1:13 through 14. And basically, from what I got out of all of those readings was put on all of God's armor so that you will be able to stand firm against the strategies of the devil. I mean, yes, it did raise a little like flag. What is God trying to tell me right now? But so anyway, that was the 29th of April. But I had this dream that we're going to talk about on May 2nd. Further on that week for Cinco de Mayo, I had put any kingdom divided by a civil war is doomed. A town or family splintered by feuding will fall apart. The tongue can bring life or death. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self discipline. That was from Matthew 12:24, Proverbs 18:21, 2 Timothy 1:7, Philippians 4:3. And then on Tuesday the 6th, I read Genesis 26:1 through 11. Out of that reading, I got exercise your own faith, which faith kept coming up a lot. Then on Wednesday the 7th, May 7th, I had read Luke 138. And what I got out of it was choose trust over safety, like Mary did when she said yes to carrying the Son of God. And then I had put, quote, I am the Lord's servant. Let it be to me according to your word, end quote. I honestly think it's so interesting how God works. He warns me when something's coming before it happens, and it just all clicks like after the fact. I had a dream that I was in my own home, and my home inside was bright and white and warm. My daughter was with me, but her dad came to pick her up, so I walked with them to their car to kiss her goodbye. After they left, I was walking back to my home. The parking lot was big and dark, and I could see my home in the distance, but it looked like an apartment complex and not my house. It had lights and was the only lighting you could see from the parking lot. Suddenly, a loud fire alarm went off, and I got scared and ran to my car, since I wasn't close enough to the house. I hid in the car quietly until the alarm stopped. The alarm indicated there was danger in my dream, not fire. Once the alarm stopped, I got out of the car and continued back to my home. When I got inside, my fiance was home, and we decided to hang out in my daughter's room to talk. The house was a lot bigger on the inside than it looked from the outside. Suddenly, the fire alarm went off again, and I started to panic. I was telling my fiance we needed to turn off the light and leave the room and hide deeper in the house ASAP, but he looked confused, and my dog kept wanting to play and wouldn't let us grab him. He thought we were chasing him for fun. Before we were able to grab my dog and turn the light off, the alarm had stopped. A sense of relief swept over us, but when my fiance finally shut off the light in my daughter's room, I saw a silhouette of a man staring at us from outside, a few feet away from the window. I had told my fiance about the man, so he went back into the room to check, and I went to our room next door. The room was dark, and I had this unsettling feeling, but brushed it off. As I was walking out of the room and went through the door frame, I saw someone come out of the dark in my room at the corner of my eye, and it came right at me. That's when I woke up screaming. It felt really real. I felt like the intruder was literally about to kill me. Dreaming about a dark parking lot. This is where I start my research. I found it can symbolize feelings of isolation, a lack of direction, or a sense of being in a transitional or uncertain period of your life. The darkness could also represent unresolved issues or the need for more clarity in a situation. It can represent a period of uncertainty or a feeling of being stuck, unable to find a clear path forward in life. Parking lots can symbolize a period of change or transition where you're exploring new directions or possibilities. It might be a subconscious message that you need to seek clarity or guidance in a particular area of your life. So, yeah, so like I said, I was dealing with a lot of things at the same time. I was still working at the time. I was um, having co parenting troubles. Not having my daughter with me for a whole year was just really like, it sucked. Oh, yeah, and this is when I was debating doing the podcast still, and I was debating quitting my job. But it was stressful because I'm like, I kind of need this job to pay bills. God was trying to tell me, like, I can't keep running, like, I can't keep avoiding what's going to happen. And I just felt like God was pushing me, like, no, you need to do this. Like, you need to do this now, but be prepared for what's coming along with it, right? I don't know. I felt like I was Jonah. He was avoiding what God was telling him to do, and he had to, pay the consequences for that. But he ended up asking God to forgive him, and story goes on. He goes to Nineveh, and he tells everybody there that they're sinning, and that if they don't turn their ways and they don't seek God, then God will destroy them, destroy their entire city. I was at Barnes and Nobles, and I was looking through like the religious section, and I happened to find a few books that caught my eye. There was the I think it was called The Prodigal Prophet, which is basically about Jonah and how, according to the author that wrote it, well, it's basically fact that Jonah was the worst prophet in the entire Bible. So I was just like, I can't believe I compared myself to the worst prophet in the Bible. That just goes to show like how I still have a lot to work on. I wanted to read more about angels. When I was little growing up, um, my nana used to always say this prayer every night before bed. So basically, like you're praying to your guardian angel at night to watch you, to take care of you while you're sleeping. That was something that, kind of piqued my curiosity. I was trying to learn more about angels and what their purpose is in my life. If I have a guardian angel looking out for me. I guess the dark parking lot symbolizes me trying to navigate everything, and also me just trying to like avoid the reality of everything. I also looked up dreaming about your house transforming into an apartment while you're outside. Surprisingly, that was actually something I was able to research on. It can represent a feeling of loss of control or a sense of being confined within a smaller, less personal space. It might symbolize a shift in your life, a feeling of being less independent, or a change in your living situation or relationships. The transformation can indicate a feeling of losing control over your life or your home. The apartment can represent a feeling of being confined or restricted in some way. It's been almost 2 months now since I haven't been working, and God is providing. I don't know where I'd be if it weren't for Him and if it weren't for the people in my life. My whole career experience, I've done a lot of customer service and some sales, but honestly, it wasn't something that I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I really don't want to grow old hearing people complain and having to fix everyone's problems. I'm living with family, and quitting that job means that I wouldn't be able to pay bills. I wouldn't be able to go shopping. If I quit, then I'm not going to be able to do the things that I want to do. I'm not going to be able to buy this, buy that. I was speaking death on my life. I wasn't having faith in God. I've been applying for jobs nonstop, and I haven't heard back from anybody. So it's really tough out there right now for job hunting. I don't know, I just feel like God is telling me like maybe a job isn't for me right now. I mean, I might get a part-time job to be able to at least pay for some bills. Yeah, I honestly think recently that I should go back to school and further my education. That way I can actually get like a decent career. And I also recently did some, I guess, like researching on myself, like what kind of jobs would suit me. And then I realized I like to do a lot of research and I like science. So I was like, why not become a research scientist? I'm getting kind of sidetracked here, but I'll shorten it and then we'll come back to this. A lot of the recurring dreams that I had, I'm flying and I feel like so free and so liberated. I'm thinking of maybe going to school to be a research scientist for NASA, maybe. I don't know. Like, imagine. I was also thinking about doing like clinical research. I don't know if we found the cure for cancer, but who knows? Maybe I might find the cure for cancer. I have these limiting beliefs, and like that verse, the tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. Choose trust over safety. you know? For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self discipline. And then the other one, have faith and believe with all your heart. My third topic that I researched on was dreaming about hiding while a fire alarm is going off. Um, it can symbolize feeling overwhelmed by a difficult situation or a need for urgent attention, while hiding could indicate a desire to evade the situation or its consequences. Fire alarms can symbolize a need to take action, a warning about something that needs attention, or a sense of impending doom. It can also represent a feeling of being condemned or a need to stop something harmful. To be honest, I really beat myself up. There are some other things that didn't occur to me until recently because everything that I've been reflecting on as myself as an individual and as a parent, and a lot of things that have come to light. Come to light in this time in my life. I'm being exposed, all of my negatives and all of my positives. I feel like God is like purifying me, like he's working on me. Like the analogy of dirty of water, or so this I seen this post. I don't know if you guys seen it on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. It's a cup of wine, I guess you could say, like a glass cup of wine or drink or whatever. It's full and it's essentially dirty, right? So the person put it in the sink and they turn on the faucet and the water's going in, right? And as the water's going in, it's filling up and all the wine is coming out slowly. It's just flowing over out, and eventually the water clears it out, and all that's left in there is just clear clean water. And I feel like that's what God's doing for me right now with me. He's taking out all of my impurities. He's showing me things that I could work on and things I could be more disciplined on, and I'm honestly so grateful for that. Super grateful. But I gotta change up the things I do in my everyday routine. And then number 4, dreaming that your dog thinks you're playing signifies a need for more playful and joyful experiences in your waking life. Could be a message that you're lacking spontaneity and joy in your daily routine. Dreaming of your dog playfully interacting with you could indicate a desire for deeper connection and a sense of companionship. It might suggest you need to nurture relationships or explore new ways to connect with others. Your dog's enthusiasm could be a reflection of your own desire to express joy and enthusiasm in your waking life. It might be a reminder to let go of inhibitions and embrace more playful, lighthearted approach to situations. Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for. That's the song that came up in my head when I said inhibitions. Okay, anyway. It could also symbolize the importance of these qualities, loyalty and friendship, in your life. Be the old person I used to be, because when I was younger, I was super bubbly. Unfortunately, me being bullied and me, being talked down on just kind of like took that part of me. So I just ended up becoming this super serious person where, I don't joke, I don't play around. I'm very quiet now, but I gotta break out of that. I gotta break out of that. I have been interacting more with my pets. So when I used to work, I would just be so tired coming home and I just wouldn't really interact with them. I wouldn't play with them. But I've been taking like better care of them and paying more attention to them. I have a dog and I have a turtle, a little water turtle like this big, and I have a betta fish. So the betta fish was actually given to me by someone that I knew from through church. They were like, "Oh, we don't want the fish anymore." And so I ended up buying him like new decorations, new rocks. I put a seashell that he originally had in there with him just for familiarity because I knew he was stressed. And I noticed that his fins were like tearing. It took him a couple days to eat. After I kept like tending to him, he finally started eating. He finally got comfortable, and now he comes out to say hi. Like usually he was always hiding behind the decorations, but now every time he sees me, he comes like towards the little glass. His name is Sharkbait. They named him that, but I guess I'll stick with that. I just call him Fishy. I have a little water turtle. A couple years ago, I used to have two water turtles. I had one that was gifted to my daughter by my fiance's mom, and we named him Twinkle Toes. Well, she named him Twinkle Toes, and he was like a really cool turtle. He had his own little personality and everything. It was so cute. But anyway, him and the other turtle had passed away. They got sick, unfortunately. But I ended up buying this one, and it's a girl, and I call her Sassy. She has an attitude, like you can just see it in her face, like her eyes, the way she looks at me. And then my dog, I've had him since he was a puppy, and he was my first baby, so I freaking love that dog to death. He's 10 years old now. Everything that I've been through, he's been through with me. He's literally my ride or die. Like, he loves car rides, he loves sticking his head out the window, he loved going outside and playing ball. But now, like, he's getting older, and I notice, like, he just needs a little more care. He doesn't hear me, I guess. I don't know if he's not wanting to listen to me, like he's ignoring me, or if he just like his hearing is um going out. And the other day he was walking, and it was dark because it was nighttime, but he was walking, and usually he can see things, but he couldn't see, and he had to walked into the wall, and then he walked into the bed frame. It kind of made me sad to think that. So I've just been spending more time with him. But this part of my dream also reminds me to just be more present with my kids. I remember when I was doing Herbalife, and I was getting more active. Like, I was playing whatever my daughter wanted to play, and it felt like I actually had the energy to do it. There was a post that said kids feel loved when their parents play with them. So it's like their love language. Number 5 is dreaming about turning off lights to hide. It can symbolize a desire to avoid confrontation, exposure, or a feeling of being watched. It might also represent feelings of guilt, shame, or a need to protect yourself from potential harm. It can represent a desire to conceal yourself or your actions from others. This could be due to a fear of judgment, criticism, or scrutiny in your waking life. The act of hiding in the darkness could symbolize feelings of guilt or shame related to something you've done or are currently facing. Turning off the lights might represent a need to protect yourself from perceived threats or dangers in your waking life. The absence of light can also symbolize a feeling of confusion or lack of understanding in a particular situation or relationship. Yeah, so I was also scared of quitting my job because I have a few people in my life that are very judgmental and are very like, they just point fingers and belittle me. So I was scared that if I quit my job and I did this podcast, that they would just have a lot of things to say about me. And they have. I just got to learn to, be quick to listen and slow to anger. I have to bite my tongue and not speak. Dreaming about someone watching you from outside your home. It can symbolize a feeling of vulnerability or the desire for privacy. It can also indicate a potential need to be more aware of your surroundings and the people around you, a reflection of your subconscious desire for more privacy or security in your life, or a feeling that you're being watched in some way. It might be a sign that you need to pay closer attention to your environment and the people around you, especially if you've had any real life experiences that makes you feel unsafe or uneasy. It could also be a warning that you might be facing a situation or person who is trying to make you feel uncomfortable, or insecure. Might be a call to seek guidance or protection from a higher power or to rely on your intuition. The house could represent your inner self, and the watcher could be a symbol of an aspect of yourself that you're trying to hide or ignore. It could be a sign of unresolved issues or anxiety. So, I don't feel like I'm in danger in any kind of way, but like this makes sense because vulnerability is, again, it's really hard for everyone. I have been the type of person who's just kind of like in my own little world, and I've never really actually paid much attention to my environment. But lately I've just been more like aware of everybody and just processing everything that's happening. Like I've been more considerate of my fiance, not being selfish anymore. And I think that's really God's plan for all of us, is to serve people and love people and to die to yourself every day, because that's what Jesus did for us. That's the way. That's the way. Dreaming about someone sneaking into your house. It symbolizes a feeling of vulnerability, insecurity, or the intrusion of unwanted thoughts or feelings into your conscious mind. My house, it was huge. Again, I was in my safe space, not wanting to take a risk and take a chance. That's just all that I know, That's all that I know, is just being stuck in this one spot because that's where I feel safe. But again, I have to choose trust over safety, like Mary did. This was an interesting episode, honestly. I'm super glad that I got to share this, especially because we got into the biblical side of things and how it correlates to my dreams and what God was telling me. And basically, again, He was warning me about what was to come. But He gives me the gift to kind of like see and be prepared for my future. And I'm just super grateful that He's watching over me.